go.
Streaming from South Africa to the world. This is the Stonks Go Moon podcast. What just happened? We break it down so you don't have to.
Welcome everyone to the Stonks Go Moon podcast. My guest today, Kyle Bell, is the founder of KyleBellCopywriting.com. Kyle, welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor. Actually, at the moment, the funny thing is, I'm building the website. It's bellcopywriting.com. It won't be launched until July, but so be it.
Thank you. Well, there goes my intro. I'm not going to do it again. Sorry, you get one intro. That's it. You are, to me, maybe the most underrated copywriter in North America. Some would say the world. I just stick to North America. I've looked at your growth the last 2 years on LinkedIn, your copywriting style, the types of clients that you have. And one of the reasons that I wanted you on the show is there's something that's really pissing me off. Is on my way to drop my 3-year-old off at preschool, I drive underneath a billboard, right? It's a Xiaomi. I'm a big fan of Xiaomi. I love the brand. I love everything they do. But it's for the new Redmi 11 or Redmi Note smartphone. And the copywriting says, rise to the occasion.
Yep.
And I'm like, rise to what occasion? How? What are we doing? It doesn't inspire me. It doesn't move me. And that's sort of the type of copywriting that I'm seeing out there lately, from not just from tech, but from finance as well. It's lazy copywriting. What are the principles of copywriting, and what are these guys doing wrong that you are picking up on?
Well, first and foremost, I have no idea what grit, perseverance, commitment, passion has to do with a cell phone. I really don't. But I saw the ad. I looked at it and I said, well, they didn't talk about any features of the phone. What's the screen size? What kind of camera does the phone have? And then how does the phone operate? What kind of benefits is the user going to receive when they use this phone? What makes it different than the other cell phones out there? Because I saw the end ad and I saw the note and I said, well, what is this telling me? Nothing. Why would I buy a phone based off of, like I said, commitment, confidence, grit, whatever they're talking about? What does that have to do with me purchasing a cell phone? Nothing. I mean, I have a cell phone now. It's a Samsung A20, and it was solely made for North America. So now they're no longer manufacturing the phone. It works fine. I mean, it's not the same quality as a Galaxy camera. However, the quality is pretty good. And I would think that that's something they would talk about, because people are big on visuals now. So why not talk about how great the camera is in this phone, or how they can shoot certain videos, whatever, right? So someone says, oh, I want to learn more about this, but nothing about those emotions are going to appease anyone and say, yeah, I'm going to get this phone. Sure.
Don't you think a lot of this has to do with if your copywriting and marketing is done in-house or if it's outsourced?
Yeah, it's a combination of the two things, because sometimes you get people who are in-house and they are stifled by the creative director or corporate communications manager, somebody who's head of their department. Will basically say, these are the talking points, just like politicians. These are the 5 talking points. You can only answer these questions this way, and that's how you have to do it. So there's that. Outside help, when it comes to big corporations, sometimes they are receptive to input. Other times they think, well, I like what you're saying, but this doesn't align with what we had in mind. Although what they have in mind is not what the customers have in mind, but they still do it anyway because they have the budget and they want to just test it out.
Budget. That's the thing that you're touching on now, because these companies have millions of, well, let's call it dollars, but most probably one or whatever, but millions of dollars. And I'm like, that's the best you can come up with?
Exactly. Yeah. And they don't tend to do a lot of research behind who is this ideal customer profile.
Yeah.
How will we know what their desires are? Like, there's just certain things you have to find out that's outside of business. Like, what are they interested in? What kind of family life do they have? Are they reading certain books? Are they looking at certain news outlets? What kind of net worth do they have? Like, all these things are very important. And just to have an understanding of what the customer likes, who they are, how you can speak to them, because you can talk about emotions all day, but if they're not looking to buy a phone because they want to feel confident, then what's the point? Right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, maybe if you're like a brand like Apple, you can sort of get away with it, but Xiaomi is not Apple, right? It's already struggling as a Chinese brand because it's got the communist tag on it. And I know they're struggling to get into this is going to sound very funny, but they're struggling to get into North America, and now you're using sort of rising up, the communist propaganda, and I'm like, this is just a bad look overall.
Yeah,
the optics are very bad.
Canadians, Americans, Mexicans, whoever's in North America here, they're not going to be keen on that, because they're going to look at it and say, what is this? And this doesn't make any sense to me, because I already have a phone. I mean, homeless people have phones here. So why would I go and get this phone? What's so special about it? And that's not answered in any of the ad campaigns I saw. So
Xiaomi needs to contact you as soon as possible.
That'd be great. I would, but I would tell them, I don't negotiate with communists, and I don't negotiate with terrorists. So we'll have to see what happens there.
Let's move on a bit. COVID was for many people a pretty shitty time. Let's not beat about the bush. I saw was a LinkedIn post this week where you talked about having $124 in your bank account, and recently ended up like signing a major retainer actually, and turning it around. And I think there's a lot of people like that, or especially in America. I know I spoke to a guy in Florida earlier this week that's sort of in the same situation. Like, what was your mindset, and how did you sort of approach going into this? Like, I'm in this situation. Business is tight. Business is maybe not picking up, whatever. How do I turn it around?
Yeah. So at that point, to be honest, the first thing I did, I said, well, if I have to go back and get a sales job or work at a bank, I said, I'll do that. And so I actually applied.
You do what you need to do.
Yeah. So I actually applied to a number of jobs. But of all the interviews I had 5. 3 of the jobs I had been accepted to start. And so what I did was, about a week before all of that happened, I had accepted a job at a bank. It was a major bank here in Canada, Scotiabank, and it was just a normal customer service job. The pay was okay. Definitely would have helped me for a time at that moment. And so I said, well, I have about 9 days before the job starts, so I'm just going to do everything I possibly can to try and land some clients I know that were kind of in the pipeline, that were warm leads. And so what happened was, a guy who I was speaking to like 4 or 5 months ago, he had already said he wanted to work with me, but he just didn't know when. So when he came to me, he says, oh, I need to get this, and this done for the launch of my crypto exchange. I said, okay. So we started doing that. We worked on a few projects. And then he says, okay, I actually want to hire you on as the CMO. So the funding is now coming in the end of this month. So that's going to be a big job, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And so that's how that happened as well. I also had it on like a few other clients during that week before that following Monday, just because I was following up with people who I knew had talked to me before. So mainly it's more so about knowing that what you're doing is valuable. That's first and foremost. And then secondly, understanding that there were people that were around who wanted to buy, because in B2B, most people aren't ready to buy immediately. There's a few, but not many. I'd say about 10% are ready to buy immediately. The other 90% will contact you, they'll have a call, they'll talk, and they'll say, okay, send a proposal over, or yeah, that sounds great. And they'll normally tell me, I'm talking to someone else just to see. I said, yeah, go ahead, please do, because maybe that person's a better fit for you, right? Yeah. And so over time, the big thing was just following up. And I knew that you have to consistently follow up with people. You can't wait a long period of time. I mean, the rule of thumb before was 3 days. Now, after a day or two, you should just follow up just to see what's going on. I understand that you saw the proposal or you saw this. Are you still looking for a copywriter? Are you still looking for this? And they'll tell you either yes or no, and that's it. So,
but it's interesting for me because it's all up here. For
it is. Yeah, it's all between
people listening on Spotify. I am actually wearing a jacket for the occasion, and as well, I'm putting in my head at the moment. It's silly, like using gestures on a podcast. But anyway, go and check on YouTube. It's that mental aspect of I have a safety net now. So whatever happens, I'm safe. It might not be a launch pad, but it's a safety net. And from that, you can sort of move out of that scarcity mindset that you have about, oh shit, to cool, whatever happens, let's go for it. And it just shows you what actually can happen if you just go for things.
Exactly. Yeah. And one side of it is belief. Okay. So, I mean, I never struggled with that. So the belief was always there. The confidence is there, but that's only the start. So the other thing is, like you said, going for things, taking action, making sure that you are doing whatever it takes to get the goals that you have set complete. And when you don't do that, then you end up getting that self-doubt or feeling like less than because you're not taking action. My first mentor told me, he says, the only thing you need to know is just do it. And you don't think about the consequences. Don't think about what may or may not happen. Just once you have the idea, put it into the action, see what happens. And then if the results aren't what you want, then change it. And that's it. He says, if you're able to do that in business, then you'll be fine. I mean, this guy is in the telecom business. And he's been doing exceptionally well for a long, long time. So he told me that. And it's pretty simple. But that's all about emotional bank account, because we have two bank accounts in life: emotional bank account, financial bank account. The financial bank account is the bank account people normally worry about. So they see their funds are getting low and they're thinking, okay, bills are paid, but how am I going to pay all the bills the coming month, right? And then what really is important is emotional bank account. So self-esteem, self-confidence, self-awareness, and just knowing that as long as you continue to put one foot in front of the other, you will get to where you want to go. It may not be at an opportune time, but it will happen.
And that is why you are one of the most underrated financial copywriters. Just there, that was gold. Thank you for doing my job for me. That's a clip. It's a clip from the podcast. Just there. Beautiful. I had to cover my mouth not to interrupt you. If anyone's not following us on LinkedIn, right? Let's get to what everyone actually wants to talk about. It's coconuts. They want to know, because I've got so many DMs and people asking me this thing between you and Kyle about the coconuts. What is it? Why is it? And what is going on? Do you want to start?
Well, I'm trying to recall how this all began, Rocco. Okay. So I have a passion for coconuts. I always have. I actually, strangely enough, have never eaten a fresh coconut before in my life, which is because I'm in Canada.
Heresy.
Yeah, agreed. But I'm also in Canada. So the coconuts get shipped here pretty terrible in comparison to, say, Thailand, for example.
Yeah, the carbon footprint is horrible. I mean,
yeah.
Horrible.
So to me, I said, I'm not going to try those. But I do love coconut oil, and I do love a lot of different coconut products. So I said, you know what? I'm going to talk about coconuts with this guy. And I don't remember exactly where it came from, but it was brought up. And then from there, it became a thing. There was actually a guy, an investor from Toronto, who called me one time and says, oh, you're the coconut guy, right? I said, yeah, that's me. And we talked for a little bit. And so that's how he knows me, as the coconut guy.
So it's interesting for me that you use something in your moniker or in your personal brand that makes a specific connection with me, because every time I see something with coconuts, I think of you, right? I've been in how many times I've been in a shopping mall and there's a coconut product, like coconut hand wash. I take a photo and I DM it to you, just, hey, check this. Yeah. And I do similar things with other people on LinkedIn. There's a lady, I'm not going to name names, but I just comment the word spicy or a little habanero under her posts, or there's other one where I write something and then I leave spaces and I go LOL. It's it's making yourself memorable, and it's not social selling, because I'm not typically looking to buy anything from you,
Of course.
or like you buying anything from me. But I find if you have a specific connection with someone, or it can be anything, it can be something stupid, just builds and fosters a relationship that you can't have. I can't even explain it. It transcends boundaries.
Yeah, it does. And it's one of those unique attributes as a person that you can use and leverage just to have a bond with someone. And that's more important than money initially anyway, because people will only spend a ton of money with you if they have a bond with you of some kind. They don't necessarily have to like you, but they have to trust you, which is and understand you. Yeah. That's the most important thing. I think a lot of people get that mixed up.
Yeah, they want to know that you're not going to lose it on their podcast, for instance.
I should just have a big freak out right now and see what happens.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. On that note, if the listeners want to find out more about what it is that you do, connect with you, where can they do that?
Yeah, sure. So on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/n/Bell Copywriting. My website, like I said, will be up come July. So the developer's working on that now. That will be bellcopywriting.com. So if they want to check that out, they can when the time comes. Aside from that, I am on no other social media platforms, believe it or not.
Go and connect with the most underrated copywriter in North America. I've learned so much from you. Thank you for coming on the pod. And to our listeners, peace, love, and prosperity. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.